3, 1, 2. We are live.
All right. Good afternoon and happy Multisport Monday. I am Coach Brian along with Coach Chris and Coach Joy. And for those of you who have been watching for a little while, hopefully, you may be noticing that we have a new member joining us this afternoon. We have a special guest. His name is Julian Headley. Thank you for joining us, Julian. Appreciate it.
Thanks for getting my name right.
Hey, you're very welcome. Yeah. That's why we do prep before the show. So today we're going to talk a little bit about, again, all the goings on with the things in our multi-sports that are going on throughout the country, even some maybe international stuff. But the big headline news for our local Chicago area sports fans is that we just recently had the draft, which Chicago, even though it was short, it was very sweet, I'm sure, for some of you, knowing that you're getting maybe your quarterback for the future. But we will see. But we also got new updates with regard to the stadium and what that might look like. Still maybe not a definitive deal just yet. I still think it has to go through Springfield. But there's a lot of excitement about the possibility of what the new Bears Stadium and the new Bears team will bring to Chicago. But just looking back on the draft, I hope everybody had felt like they got what they wanted. I, however, am not a Bears fan. I am a Saints fan. We got some people. Wasn't sexy picks, but it was stuff that we needed. Julian, are you a Bears fan?
Oh, no. Commanders. We got the Heisman Trophy winner, so we're good.
All right, there you go. Now, my family being from New Orleans, of course, obviously New Orleans fans, they were happy to see their boy Jalen go somewhere high pick, so they're excited for him.
Right.
You guys excited for Jalen being there?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we're in transition, had to get a new owner, probably get a new stadium also in a little while. Got a new franchise quarterback, hopefully, so we'll see where we go.
I mean, Mel Kiper gave you guys an A-, so it's not a bad start.
Not like Mel Kiper has a track record being good at his job, but I digress.
That's all good. Hey, you know what? All you can do is just hope for the best.
Right.
You get the best you can,
right,
and see how it performs on game day. Much like in triathlon, you do your best. You train as much as you can. Surround yourself with either good coaches or good teammates, and then you get out there on race day and just see what happens. So we may be expecting the same with the new Chicago Stadium. Build what you can, see what happens. But based on the renderings, we've noticed that there might be a slight overlook as to how much of the bike path actually continues around the stadium. So, Chris, you gave us a little bit of a schematic here based on the updates. What are your thoughts on the new stadium renderings and about where cycling might fit in?
I was excited to see a new stadium, something that's covered that maybe we could do indoor events at, maybe like some big swimming and endurance events in stadiums. It would actually allow us to have large mass participation endurance events of new variety in Chicago. But then I noticed one minor flaw with the renderings that they put is the bike path just disappears and turns into a street. So they may want to fix that, hopefully, I think, before they finalize all the details of the stadium. The running path, for anyone who's an endurance athlete, if you know the running path and what it looks like right now, there's a 270-degree turn and a bunch of zigzags on the running path down near Soldier Field and McCormick Place. So it'd be nice if they actually took the investment that, what's his name, made? Ken
Griffin.
To separate the bike and the run trail. But they just plopped the stadium down and basically destroyed all that. So it'd be nice if they fixed that part of it. But there's a promo video. You can watch the whole kind of like flyover of the new stadium, what it looks like. The old stadium's going away, and they will be building out fields. I think it would be nice to see if, in addition to supporting, local recreational, soccer, football leagues and all that, which I think will be pretty exciting to see. It would be nice, I think, if they also encouraged or set up a way for that space to be used for large endurance events, running events, like the Soldier Field 10-miler. Just think about what the finish lines might look like and how they could set up, if they create the roads and everything so that they're more spacious and don't get in the way of commuters going up and down the Lakefront Trail. I think there's a lot of things that they should be thinking about with that. So that whole stadium and the area around it could really be used in a lot of different ways. The wish list for me would be to actually have maybe cycling specific accommodations, besides separating the path, make it friendly for bike races. We used to have a Soldier Field Criterium series down at Soldier Field. And it was just in a parking lot. Imagine if they built the street so you could have a circuit for cycling. Or if they're building a bunch of additional park district buildings there, make a natatorium, put a swimming pool in there. Yeah. There's a lot of things, or a running track. Think about a world-class running track right in downtown Chicago. That would be pretty spectacular.
Sounds like a great thing that Super Tri with their indoor events would be very interested in being able to host, because a lot of those locations that they're doing it in other premium locations are current or former Olympic stadiums that really can adhere to that type of event.
Just think about having a velodrome in there, or a swimming pool, or a giant indoor triathlon in a giant stadium.
That would be lovely.
Would be pretty spectacular.
Just slap a track. Once football season is over, throw a track on, have something similar to the Diamond League races in Europe, right in Chicago.
Yeah. So it'd be cool to see if they do start to make those types of accommodations as they build out the plans. That's the biggest part right there, is the bike path that just kind of disappears into a street. Minor detail, but something a few of us have noticed.
Actually, go back a slide. So I did tell my swimmers just this past week that so one of the first things I was ever told when I arrived to Chicago was that I needed to find someone with a boat. So it seems like in these renderings, it would be great if you found somebody with a boat, because that would be easy access to the stadium. So I know the big sort of want is parking.
Right.
No, just find a dude with a boat, or a person with a boat.
So yeah, whoever's boat that is right there,
right here.
This one?
The fourth pier down, you're within stone's throw.
Yeah,
of the
just
entrance.
Okay, yeah, right there.
How about,
They'll be making a lot of friends.
All right.
So those are the big things I would love to see personally is, if within the stadium they can make those accommodations, both, with the stadium, with the areas around it, but most importantly, the bike path.
Yeah.
It'd be neat if we could ever get back to the days, almost 100 years ago, basically, when Chicago had a velodrome, outdoor. They did indoor stuff at the Chicago Stadium. So that would be cool to see.
Yeah, and I think we have a veteran cyclist amongst us as well.
Bit,
so
right. I didn't race the track though.
So with that, Julian, welcome again.
Thank you.
So cyclist by trade, is that correct?
Cyclist by trade. I'm a fake runner, but
so yeah, tell us a little bit about who you are and your story.
So I grew up, spent the first impressionable years of my life between the Washington, D.C. area in Maryland and Jamaica. My family's Jamaican, mom and dad, born and raised in Jamaica. When I was about 14, I moved here to Chicago from Maryland and wound up going to Evanston. Came to Rogers Park, went to Evanston, and that's why I say my sophomore year at the great Evanston Township High School, the sport of cycling found me. Huh. And I don't know why. I don't have a great story. People always ask, why'd you get into cycling? As a black Jamaican guy from where I'm like, I have no clue. I used to ride my bike all around Maryland, or University of Maryland campus, ride down to Howard University in DC. So and then I think maybe the Tour DuPont might have rode through College Park, and I was like, oh, that's a thing. And then I got here, hooked up with Touring. You'll see a picture a little bit later. Touring was my first team that taught me how to race. These guys, believe it or not, I'm actually 19 in that picture. I look the same, I know. That picture's like 30 years ago. So any of the old Touring teammates out there, they'll know that was like the most hideous uniform we ever had, because if you see the Touring on the front is actually pink. So it's like the Lakers, breast cancer awareness. I don't know, and then so I don't know where all that color scheme came from, but
I know my mom, who's a cyclist, would probably certainly appreciate that.
Right. I don't think we're doing it for the breast cancer, but that's what we used to say, as guys, because we just hated it. But so I just started going into those shops. And the guys kind of took me on the wing. They gave me magazines and I learned about everything. And then when I was about 15 or 16, when I just started getting into racing. My dad took me to my first race, which happened to be on my birthday, August 16th, in Downers Grove. I watched it and saw like the Coors Light guys, Davis Finney. I remember the race like it was yesterday. And then shortly after that, somebody we all might know, Ed Nizletti, worked at RB at the time, gave me a book about some guy named Major Taylor. And I was like, oh, okay, you know. And I told my mom after I read the book, whenever I have a son, I don't know who the woman is yet, my son will be named Major Taylor. And then fast forward, my 19-year-old son, his name is Major Taylor. So he had no choice. But back to the cycling. So I was racing for touring for a number of years. I'm a puny cyclist. Like I said, in that picture, I'm 19 years old. I remember that I was at the University of Chicago Criterium. I just was not good at criteriums, and this is criterium country. And our bike sponsor at the time was Fat City Cycles, and they pulled their sponsorship because they're in Vermont. Why are they sponsor a team in the Midwest? I reached out to them. I was like, hey, I don't work at touring anymore. I don't race anymore. Can you guys send me some bikes? And they did. And I want to race for them. And I wound up moving out to Vermont. I spent like 3 or 4 summers in a row racing out there, trying to get over to Europe. I never got to Europe. My knee gave out. But I'm the same age as, in the same generation as guys who may or may not have won the Tour de France. Yeah, that's the best way. That's the best way I can. Yeah, that's the best way I can. The first guy who lost his Tour de France title, he and I actually did race together. We're the exact same age.
Yeah.
And then Christian Vandevelde, he and I grew up racing together. Like, ironically, my very first race as a junior, he won in Downers Grove. So a year later, after I watched the race, I raced as a junior, and he lapped the field. When I don't know, it was a 15 lap crit, and he lapped the field by like lap 11.
Wow.
And I remember I was the first person to get lapped. And I remember, so Christian, if you see this, I remember this. He said to me, we're the same age. Come on, man, keep it going. I'm like, you know, I wanted to give him the finger, but at the same time, I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, as the race guys pointing to get out the race. And so, but yeah, racing in Vermont. And so it was out in Vermont where my knee finally gave out on me. But at the same token, to transition to what I do now, my coach was my cycling coach decided to be my strength coach and gave me strength training advice. I won't say the guy's name, God bless him. He didn't know any better. Said different things. I won't say what he did, but different things about strength training. I was like, okay, you know, and then come to find out eventually my body gave out on me. And so I majored in exercise science in college. And then I went to corporate world after my career ended, and, you know, just to appease my immigrant parents and get a real job. Yeah. Get a real job. And I hated it. And they actually let me go 2 months before Major was born. So actually about 20 years ago now. My wife at the time, my ex-wife, said, well, they probably put you out of your misery. And then I walked into Export just so I could, because I had a son on the way. I was like, I got to work out. So I was like, I just dropped off my resume while I'm job hunting. And by the time I got home, my boss, Kim, called me and said, hey, I need a trainer. I'm like, I'm not certified. I'll pay for your certification. Wow. And then from there, I've just specialized in working with endurance. I've worked with everybody, even guys who've been drafted by the NFL, but an NBA. But I always have focused on endurance athletes and cyclists in particular because of what happened to me. And I'd look at guys who used to come to Export who I knew were cyclists, because, you know, they had the shaved legs and the big calves, and, you know,
you can spot them a mile away.
Yeah. And so, and they would work out like bodybuilders. Yeah. I'm like, you know, no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And they'd split their workouts, or like what I used to do is I'd work my legs 3 days a week.
Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what my coach told me, you know. So, so I think in that picture, it's probably my last season racing. On the left, I was warming up for a race. Actually, rode to a race, and I was warming up, and my brother just snapped that picture. That was in Evanston. I think I was riding to Antioch for a race, and so I rode out to Antioch to race, and then rode back home.
It's a good warm up. It's a good warm up.
Yeah, it's a good
nice little warm up.
I think from Evanston to Antioch, local roads each way is like 30 miles. So, but I go out there and did a 40-50 with a 50 plus one lap crit, 15 plus one lap crit.
Wow.
And so I think I just hit 6'1", so it was about 154 pounds in that picture.
Wow.
I think maybe a year after that, I had 3 knee surgeries in 9 months, and so that's and one of them was for a staph infection. So so and that's when I was like really dedicated myself to working with endurance athletes, and that's where I am now.
Right
so,
on.
roundabout way of
Yeah.
But I don't have a good story about how I started cycling. It's just you can do this, and I'm good at it, and I like to ride all day.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so what do you do now besides working with personal trainers? You also are involved in a couple
of different organizations.
Locally?
So so my business is strength training for cyclists. I work with about 15 years ago. I started doing work with Under Armour. They would fly me down to their IMG Sports Academy, which started off as a tennis academy. It's just basically 400 acres of an athletic paradise. I probably should say
Claremont, Florida?
No, Bradenton, Sarasota, Bradenton, the IMG Academy.
Yeah.
And started flying down there. As a football fan, you'll appreciate this. Worked with some kid getting ready for the draft named Cam Newton.
Cam
Newton.
That guy,
And so, so I've always had that originally sparked because I was like, hey, that's my home state, and they're making stuff, and then and so I've been working with them going on about 13 years now, and then recently, about 3 years ago, they made me a community ambassador to help them with their endurance athlete initiative. So the 2 times I did a really long stroll around Chicago in October during the marathon. Technically I was in the marathon. A long stroll because I'm not a runner. I do it for charity.
Yeah.
But they outfitted me. Actually 3 times in DC and 2 in Chicago. So I've been doing work with them as a community ambassador, getting different running clubs in there, and we do events and workouts out of there 3 or 4 times a year. Speaking of charity, I am a community ambassador for the ALS United Foundation. I run for charity in honor of my father who had ALS. And then I also do commercial sales for Fitness Factory, which is where we sell treadmills, ellipticals, everything you need for your home gym, and to a place like here, Lakeshore Fitness Club. Is that Lakeshore Fitness Club, right?
Lakeshore Sport and Fitness.
I'm sorry. See, Lakeshore Sport and Fitness. Everything you need there. So I do commercial sales for that. So
I actually just emailed him just the other day to help outfit our training.
We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you.
Any fitness equipment from like what, treadmills,
all the way down kettlebells.
All the way down, kettlebells, bands. Like I do once a month, we do a clinic out of the Chicago location. Give a shameless plug, 2599 North Elston. We'll do before the store opens on a Saturday. We did a kettlebell clinic. We did a super band one. We're going to figure out what we're going to do probably in May. We don't know yet.
These are free clinics.
Free clinics.
People can come to.
And then you kind of like what we do at Under Armour, free clinics, and then you get 20% off at the store after you, for those who attend. And so like with Under Armour, we got something coming up on, Chris and I are working on the 18th, an evening fun run where we'll run, go do a social, have something to drink, and people can shop and get at least 20% off at the store.
Great.
So, but those are the 3 initiatives I'm involved with outside of my main, Fitness Factory pays me as well. But but my strength training business and Fitness Factory pay me. Under Armour, as an ambassador, I try to be a liaison for the community, and ALS United, that's just to honor my old man. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Very cool. When you are working with your strength athletes, where do you operate out of primarily?
Primarily out of Phenomenal Fitness, which is 2001 South State Street. A guy by the name of Sean Armstead runs that place. He has like 3 or 4 independent trainers. So, and then that's primarily as far as physical, but I have quite a few clients I train online.
Okay.
So via good old fashioned Google Docs and private YouTube links, and that's where majority of. Yeah, but as far as physical brick and mortar, you said, yes, you know Sean, or you've been there?
Yes, I've known Sean for over almost 25 years.
Actually, he and I being in the industry for over 20 years, we just met 3 years ago, officially.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you know, a mutual friend introduced us, but great guy. Just saw him yesterday. He had a birthday.
Yep.
He's 61. Looks
And
like
you
he's
would not know he was 61.
yeah,
Yeah.
41.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's what he looks like, seriously. But yeah, that's where the initiatives that I'm involved in. So
Great. So also being a personal trainer, my question to you would be that obviously you've noticed differences from like what endurance athletes need compared to other athletes, especially bodybuilders, or what some may assume if they don't have a specific strength coach that helps integrate strength training into their triathlon, cycling, running program.
Right.
What would you say would like be the one or a couple of key differences that you see with your endurance athletes that are most important for them to be focusing on when it comes to strength training?
I always say nothing running in, this applies to running and cycling. Nothing is going to get your legs stronger for your sport than your sport.
Yeah.
So we all, you know, I'm old enough, we all remember doing, you know, vomiting intervals on Conti trainers. You know, back in my day, you know, or, you know, you go out to the track. You know, like when I was training for the marathon, I go out to the track by University of Chicago and do some intervals out there. But to think that you'll get your legs stronger in the weight room is a misnomer. And that's the first thing. And so when you get that out of your brain is to make your body more balanced, because running and cycling are going to make your body or your body's going to be asymmetrical strictly from running anyway. So your strength training and like, I'm actually in physical therapy now, ironically, because my knee just keeps flaring up. Going back to my last knee surgery was 2003, and it still flares up. As much as I know, I still have to go to physical therapy. And so they can't figure out if it's the chicken or the egg. If it was, because I had a really quick growth spurt right when I turned pro.
Oh yeah.
I was one of those I was a 4'11" freshman in high school.
Wow.
And a 5'9" freshman in college. I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
And so they don't know if it was the back caused my knee problems or my knee caused my back problems. So it's always something I have to address. And so when you train to make your body more holistic, it does help everything. And so I don't know if you guys ever met any like European pros, how disproportionate their bodies are.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like, even I'll say it, we joked about it all earlier. When I did meet Floyd right after he won the tour in 06, like there's a picture of me, him, and my son Major, like literally before it was like right after the drug test, but before all the stuff. So it was literally like August of 06. And I'm about a half inch taller than him. And his upper body was like this.
Yeah.
But his legs were just like, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if you guys remember, he had to have hip surgery shortly after that tour. So he was never going to race professionally again anyway.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is those guys just train their legs. And if not to pick on the guy, like I'm never going to see him, but I read his autobiography. The day he injured his hip, which led to his surgery, he went to the gym to do leg presses that day. And then rode shortly afterwards.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So I don't do, this is a controversial point, I don't do back squats I don't do back squats with any of my clients. I do front squats, I'll do goblet squats, I'll do overhead squats with any of my clients. I deadlift. My basic food groups, I like to say, swings, deadlifts, front squats, wood chops.
Yeah.
And those are in the more explosive movements.
Hey, now you're talking like my wife's language, man.
I like to throw weights around. And so those are like my basic food groups for cyclists. I don't necessarily, again, these are mistakes I made.
Yeah.
Another point is cyclists and runners, train for endurance in the weight room. Yeah. Again, you're not going to nothing's going to get you more endurance-y than riding or running,
right?
And swimming. But my coach told me to do, so you guys will love this one, especially from your strength training standpoint. He told me to do back squats in a Q factor of when I'm on the pedals,
Okay.
which is this.
Yeah.
Yes.
3 sets of 20.
Yikes. Okay.
You know, God bless him. That's the information he had in 1990.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
98.
Luckily,
90.
we've learned some
Right.
things.
And so I tell people like I have my USA cycling certification, but I focus on the strength training aspect. I always say it's like Phil Jackson being Kobe's strength coach.
Yeah.
Never the two shall meet.
Right. Yeah.
Never the two shall meet. We have meetings. A friend of mine, Steve Hess, he used to be the head strength coach for the Denver Nuggets. He would tell me he would have meetings with the coaches to work out. And that's the other thing, the problem, which is getting better, is coaches and cycling and triathlon coaches and strength coaches sometimes don't talk.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with that even like when I'm used to train volleyball and high school volleyball and basketball teams, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but like I know when I worked with a couple of guys who trained pro basketball players, they would talk to the coaches on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing. But those two things, trying to get your legs stronger in the gym and gain endurance in the gym. Those are the things.
Yeah. I have one more question to follow up because
Sure.
I know this question comes up all the time,
Mhm.
especially when we talk strength training. But for all those athletes that love to do 2-a-days, the question always is going to come up: what comes first? We've been talking chicken and eggs here, strength or endurance. So, from your perspective, with athletes you've worked with, where do you fall?
Especially actually, I think the question I was going to ask you actually was about, having gone into then marathon running too. How are you running before strength training, strength before running?
Yeah.
I love that question.
How would you mix all
I love that.
together?
I love that question. And so I have a thing that's splitting hairs between a pro, we'll say cyclist for you can say triathlete, runner, whatever.
Sure.
A pro cyclist versus a real cyclist. Okay. Pro cyclist is my hero, Miguel Indurain, the Williams brothers behind us. To answer the question, for that aspect, working out first, then doing your sport.
Yeah.
Preferably in a perfect world, it's, you work out and then you put on your cycling gear and go straight out. Not even a 2-day. That's just one long workout.
Yep.
Real cyclist is everybody here. I have children. Yeah, if you guys have children, jobs or whatever, it's whatever you can do. So if you have to be at work at 8:00 and it's still dark in Chicago in November, December, or January, you're probably better off going to the gym and then running or riding when you get home.
Yep.
If your schedule permits, you got a newborn at home, it's best to, get your running while they're sleeping. You run or ride while they're sleeping, and then when you get home from work. And that's so splitting hairs. But in a perfect world, for me, it wouldn't be a 2-a-day. It'd just be one long. You wake up at 6, work out till 6:45, 7, and then 7:15 you're out the door and you're riding.
Okay.
So I love that question, but but
it's the one that comes up probably the most.
Yes. So but people I have no pro cyclists I work with right now, but so therefore when I work with my people, I'm like, okay, so what's your schedule for the next 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Like me, my stepdaughter's graduating from college in a couple weeks, so we're going to California for that. That stuff. That's what real runners and cyclists have to deal with. I got a son who's a sophomore in college and one is a freshman in high school. So those are things I have to deal with. I get an email. He was cursing in class. I'm like, I don't know where the hell to get that from. I'm trying not to watch my mouth on here. So I'm trying not to, that's the answer. I mean, for real cyclists, for people who have real jobs, and not that cyclists aren't real, but people who have jobs, the answer it's life. What can
you can fit in based on your life.
Right. And for people like us who train and coach for a living, it's in my perfect world. Yeah. But even still, I ran down to my building this morning and got a quick workout in, and I couldn't the way to work. I like to work out and do yoga right afterwards.
Yeah.
And I was not able to do that because some stuff came up because I got an email from the school that my son cursed in class.
Okay.
That's why that's fresh in my mind.
Okay.
So what do you do? What's your thoughts?
I mean, it's basically the same.
Okay.
Again, ideal world, I usually try to have them go strength training and then going into their endurance sport.
Right.
Hopefully it's not like a heavy leg day going into threshold intervals.
And that's where you got to talk. The coach and the strength coach have to talk.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it always comes down to what is your schedule permit. What can you do in the morning? What can you do in the afternoon? Where do those things lie?
Right.
And then being able to balance it the best you can so that we're not overstressing the system, and they're able to recover correctly and adequately. And as long as those things are fitting in and they're feeling good by the end of the week, not terribly taxed, that's kind of the goal, right?
And you're not pissing off your significant other either.
Also that.
My brother was my roommate. He used to drive him crazy. He wanted to go somewhere. I'm laying my legs up in the air against the wall. I was like, yeah, I'm not going out tonight. He's like, yeah, just, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Cool. Other questions for Julian while we have him?
Covered all that. Covered
I
my
think it covered-
question.
Yeah.
I love that question though. It's always
I guess
important.
the final question would be where can people find you? And I think
Okay.
what we'll do is we'll get your socials, we'll put them in the description so people can get you that
Coach
way. And then,
Coach Julian X is my Instagram. I literally just started another Instagram. Coach Julian X is the best place, and we will post eventually a sign up and a splash page for the run at the Under Armour store there. And then I literally just started about 3 or 4 weeks ago a strength training for cyclist Instagram page. I might have 0 followers, so if you guys want to follow me,
I'll follow you.
I'll grow that one. I just
we'll help you get
yeah,
that started.
life kind of beat, but it'll be both of them for a little while. But life kind of just, you know, trying to get ready for this graduation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I literally just started because it wasn't available for the longest while.
Yeah.
I was like, who, you know, and then I reached out to the person, said, hey, can I buy it from you? And then eventually it just became available. I think Instagram just realized it was a dormant account.
Okay.
So I literally just started that. But
Nice.
Coach Julian X is the best place to start.
Great.
Excellent.
And then once we get the Under Armour run, and you also do occasional boot camps you mentioned
At the store, at Fitness Factory and at Under Armour.
Yep.
So we'll probably do
Those are-
one each a month at those.
And those
both
are
those
really
places. Right.
free opportunities for people to get to work with you and pick your brains.
Right, exactly. And we will, we're talking about doing some fun runs. You didn't even know this, some fun runs out of the Fitness Factory in the summer because we got ample parking. So you can just park there. We can
Right.
go for a run.
Yeah.
Right. So
Keyword parking.
Parking. Yeah.
parking has always been the biggest thing.
Hashtag parking. Okay.
Right. So we'll have probably some sample shoes from Under Armour at those runs as well.
Sweet.
So yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Well,
I buy a lot
in
there.
other updates, so that will hopefully be May 18th, I think, the
May 18th,
Under Armour
6 p.m.
run,
Yeah.
6 p.m., evening shopping event, evening social. We'll get the details. We'll definitely mention it on our next couple shows as well leading
sure.
into that.
Right.
But let's talk also about other stuff going on locally. Maybe Julian even has some stuff to add to this as well.
Yeah.
But we'll kind of wrap up now with some swim, bike, and run updates, local stuff that's going on in the Chicago area. One actually that kind of relates to what you had mentioned earlier, ALS. So the Chicago River Swim is a new swimming event that benefits Along Swim. ALS is their charity partner that benefits.
Sure.
And they just closed the registration.
Okay.
Yes.
Did
So-
anyone apply for
No.
that swim?
We did not.
No.
We went on a Chicago River cruise with the operations group and a bunch of the swimmers to kind of recon the swim course
Nice.
and talk about the swim course and how everything's going to be set up and whatnot. So we got to get a little early preview. I think I'll share some of that video in a future YouTube special that we'll do.
Yeah, I'm hoping just to be available to try to help broadcast the
Yep.
event. So yeah.
We will be available.
Stay tuned for that in September. End of September, that swim is officially a go. So the results from the applications, they had over 1,000 people apply.
Yeah.
500 or less, I think, will be getting in. So they'll be having the updates about that coming out shortly thereafter. There's other master swim events going on.
Yeah,
too.
so this Friday through Sunday is the Illinois State Meet down in Munster, Indiana, just south of Hammond, where the Leon Triathlon is. So yeah, it is the 1,000-yard swim that will kick everything off on Friday afternoon, and then the rest of the events will start Saturday and Sunday right around 7:30, 8 a.m. We have some of my BMC Performance Masters folks competing this weekend. A couple of us doing some relays, some of the sprint events. We'll see how well the TRI Pool School improvements continue to sort of show themselves in my swim for the next couple days. But yeah, so it's this weekend is the Illinois State Meet. And then we are now less than 50 days away from the also the USA Swimming Olympic trials
Nice.
down in Indiana. So those are the big stuff coming up.
You guys going down to that?
Not sure yet,
Oh.
but because I think the U.S. Master Swim also has their nationals that are around the same time, so that they can kind of do all the things together, and people can make a big event about it. So yeah, we're seeing what our schedule permits.
Also, we've got a free swim clinic coming up. We're kicking off our indoor triathlon triathlon training programs for Team Dead AIDS and TRI312. So I'll post the details about a free swim clinic for anyone who's looking to get into triathlon and learn to breathe and learn to swim freestyle. I think other than that, though, that's it for swim.
For swim, yeah.
Yes.
Bike or run.
Cycling updates.
Yeah.
Cycling, Chris.
A couple things coming up. BFF Bikes has a big garage sale going on this weekend. I'll be out there helping out. If anyone wants to volunteer, you'll have first dibs on a lot of bike gear at really low prices. If you want to empty your closet, you can donate items and the proceeds will go to charity, or you can get the proceeds directly back. So they will sell your items for you if you have any old cycling items to get rid of. And if you're new to the sport and just want to get a great bike at a low price, I saw there's one bike that is retail $15,000 that's going to be there.
Wow.
It's about 10 years old, but it is like literally the highest top of the line bike that you could probably get.
Oh, what size?
So there's some nice items. Bianchi.
Bianchi, okay.
Nice.
And then also coming up the following weekend on Mother's Day, XXX Racing has the Lincoln Park Criterium, the local bike race. If you want to see the type of cycling that Julian had been doing to get his cycling career started.
I think I now know what I'm giving my mom for Mother's Day.
You can come up and watch, spectate. You can volunteer there as well. We with XXX Racing, I help coach that team, and we're always looking for volunteers to help with course marshaling and hanging out, and we have a good time up there as well. So those are the bike events coming up, and then running events. Joy,
So this past weekend was the Ravenswood Run 5K. So 28 years running. Also, it was also the Run for Good Life. I believe it's a 5K or a 10K. I'm not sure. That was in Oak Park. But this upcoming Saturday is the Cinco de Miler. It's on May 4th, not May 5th. It's a 5-mile race. You still have chance to register. They have the world's largest 3-foot piñata, maybe some tacos, maybe some margaritas. But also stay tuned later on in the month because we're coming into May. Shocking. The Soldier Field 10-miler, which is the last Saturday in May, and that is the 20th running of it.
Cool.
That's about it.
All right. Mark on.
And that reminded me the Chicago Spring Half Marathon.
Oh, that's May 19th.
Right, the weekend before that, we're going to be recruiting volunteer cyclists to help do the lead bike marshaling for that event. So if you're a triathlete or cyclist and want to help out at a running event, our charity happens to manage the beer tent afterwards. So nice. There might be a fun little post-race party there as well.
Excellent.
And then also at BFF Bikes, I help them on Wednesday mornings doing just fun runs on the 606 trail, 7 a.m. every Wednesday. Once a month, we do 5K time trials. It's usually the first Wednesday of every month. So that would be this Wednesday. So if anyone wants to do a little 5K run for free, challenge themselves, test their fitness, we'll be doing some prizes for people who show the most improvement from month to month throughout the season.
Nice.
So fun little event you can take part in there. And then triathlon updates.
Yeah, we had the first Ironman of the season here in the U.S. That would be Ironman Texas, and we actually had a record-breaking run to finish by Tomas. What is his last name?
Hernandez Rodriguez.
Thank you. Which just, it was like a 7.5 minute mile pace, or faster.
6.5.
Is it 6.5? Wow. I'm all off. But yeah, his
6 minute mile pace.
Yeah, roughly.
So it was just ridiculously fast splits for all this.
2:34 roughly.
Yeah. So, but incredible speed, incredible run, incredible finish for the Ironman Texas. Any other notes on that particular race?
The women's winner, Kat Matthews, actually defended her title, and that was with a 5-minute penalty for drafting. So All in all, Thomas Hernandez, this is his first win.
Yeah.
He did the Oceanside half Ironman a couple of weeks ago and placed 45th.
Mm-hmm.
And to go from 45th to winning Ironman Texas, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right.
Well, an even bigger event that happened over the weekend,
yes.
though, was our
Our indoor tri.
Yeah. Up at the Edgewater Athletic Club. So we did wrap up our indoor tri winter, spring season. We might have more events coming soon, so stay tuned. Might have that announcement on next Monday.
Yeah. At least get a couple of new events between now and Chicago.
Yep.
Get a little tune up for those of you that are either new to the sport or just get out for a good 1 hour workout to feel primed and ready to go for Chicago or any other of the summer race series for Chicago area triathlons. So.
Yes.
Julian, you want to join us for any indoor tries this year?
I volunteered a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It probably my thing is next year I'm probably going to do the Maryland half in the spring and the full and the fall.
The Krabby Challenge.
Yeah. It's my home state, so I was always, that's always been those are my only try things on my schedule. So
excellent.
And I'll be doing it for the ALS United Foundation. So
very good.
So,
excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. All
Awesome.
right.
Final note on triathlon events coming up. If we are now getting into racing season and you're looking for races to do, I want to mention the state championships. For those who aren't familiar, this is the list of the regional ones kind of around the Chicago area, starting in May, St. Louis. At these state championships, the top 35% will qualify for nationals. So they have special awards. They have high school awards as well as club awards and age group awards at these state championships. So take a look at them. The big one, obviously for us, Chicago Tri, end of August, is going to be a state championship. It was a club championship almost 10 years ago, but this is the first time we've kind of brought that back.
nice.
So that'll be an exciting thing to see at the Chicago Tri this year.
I'm really enjoying the fact that they're putting together these different series or championships where clubs as well as individuals can compete and mix it up with a lot of different athletes and have that little extra element to it. Gives it a little something. Right?
Yes.
And then final club updates. I think we mentioned a bunch already, but Team N AIDS, one of our charity partners, they're starting the summer Chicago Triathlon training program on Monday. So we have an info session on Thursday, a lunch and learn. We have a kickoff in-person session on Sunday. So if anyone wants to come for that, we'll also have free swim lessons. We have Adult Learn to Swim is now a new part of the program where you actually learn how to breathe, float, really get into the sport if you're intimidated by the swim.
Extremely important.
Yep.
And then-
learning to breathe, kind of important.
And speaking of which, so we also have our Master Swim up at the Edgewater Athletic Club. Our summer cycle starting on May 14th.
Awesome.
Right.
And then if you want, we did now set up some Under Armour gear, oddly enough. Segue with Julian. So we have TRI312 branded Under Armour gear that you can get on our little online shop. There's other items too, but highlighting some of the Under Armour apparel. I'm actually wearing some of my favorite Under Armour gear with Sealant, if anyone's ever gotten geeked out on the near infrared sleep and recovery gear, my go-to stuff. But yeah, just wanted to mention that in case you do end up coming to the run and want to shop for some fun Under Armour gear.
Okay.
And then if you guys have any questions, email if there's any content, any speakers, any guests you would like us to see, bring onto the show for you to see in future episodes. Email us or just post and tag, let us know. We'd love to get more local endurance sports specialists featured on our show. So just shoot us a note and we'll hope to bring some new content in future weeks.
Yes.
All right.
There we go.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us for our Multisport Monday. I'm Coach Brian for Coach Chris, Coach Joy, and our guest, Julian Headley. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll see you on the next Multisport Monday next week.
All right. See you, gang.
It works.
All right.
There we go. That was fun.